Welcome to the Passion Professors Podcast, hosted by Earth.University, where stories of life experience and purpose inspire and unite humanity. Here's your host, Lindsay Andreotti.
Awesome. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I am so fortunate today to be sitting here across the screen from a lovely and talented longtime friend, Brian Peterson. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Lindsay. You again.
I know, you again. It's so wonderful to have you here. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about your latest and greatest adventure that's still in alignment with the passion I've known you to always have. But just to give a little background to the audience who's listening now, Brian is a powerful communicator. He's the co-founder of Greater Life Communications, and he has a lifetime vocation to harness the power of communication to enable people and organizations to thrive, and here's the juicy part, and to reduce human suffering and injustice. He is an incredible senior leader with experience internationally spanning more than 20 years, 30 countries, and he's led several industries, including healthcare, higher education, financial services, publishing, and humanitarian NGOs, which I'd like to think that Earth.University is going to become one. So what I know about you, Brian, is you are an amazing human being who is here to serve humanity. And I welcome you to this conversation today.
Oh, thank you so much, Lindsay. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. I mean, I'm energized. All I have to do is look at you and be energized, because I know that what you ask is right on, spot on, and it comes from your heart.
Aww.
So I really appreciate this chance to chat.
Thank you. Me too. I'm super excited to hear all about what you're doing right now. So maybe you could tell everybody about your most recent shift and what you're focusing on. What's got your attention and how is your passion being expressed?
Yeah, you know what? We've been having a painful year, right? It's been crazy.
Yeah, crazy is a good word.
So many different ways. And yet I have been seeing some trends, and this is just through some of the work I've been doing and traveling, and some exposure to some of the new advances in technology and breakthroughs that will really eliminate some of the suffering of human beings. And all of that really makes me feel that, based on the facts, the science, that we are setting ourselves up for maybe the best decade for human well-being that we've had in a long, long time. We'll say that way, in perhaps centuries. And that's because of the science. That's because of the really what we've seen in the last, say, 5 or 10 years, when you look at the digital revolution that continues, and how, our connectivity globally is growing. It's going to enable more knowledge to be spread around the world, more education. I mean, if you look at medical care, healthcare.
Teledoc. I used Teledoc the other day and went, oh my God, this is so much better than I drive across town.
Yeah, even there, right? So the connectivity, again, the technology, but also then when you look at what's happening with DNA sequencing, artificial intelligence, and stem cell research, regenerative medicine, all of these breakthroughs, really, you'll be shocked, I think, even in the next decade, what we are going to do about cancer. It just gives me tingles to think about it, because this has been a puzzling disease for all of our lives, and we're going to see some real breakthroughs and some precision in how we treat people in medicine. And that's just one example of many that I think will be able to really do some damage to some of these things that really cause hurt among humanity.
For sure. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. I'm with you on that. And I'd love to see where, we've talked about this before, but where is AI going to be in service to humanity, rather than the stories that tell us that it's, going to ruin us and it'll be the bane of our existence. But I digress. So
yes.
Tell us a little bit about Greater Life Communications, and where did this notion come from? What are you wanting to do with this? This sounds cool.
Right. Mm-hmm. So here's the shift. You asked about the shift in my own kind of focus and what I spend my time in. And because of that really bullish view that I think is based on evidence of the next decade, I still know that in order for that to really happen, I really think the business community, for-profit companies in particular, stand to benefit greatly from this economically, but also they benefit from becoming engaged visibly in some of these global issues that also come right back to local communities as well. So what I really am shifting on now is to really go in and support businesses who, they're already doing so many great things for their communities. They may even be connected to a global cause, but it's more behind the scenes, and maybe even their own staff don't know much about what the company is doing and what's being done with investment, or let alone the global cause that they are connected to. So I see a time right now where we can go in to some generous organizations and help them tell their story, give them this visibility, make those connections to all these potential partners and customers who resonate with this bigger cause.
Right.
That's kind of what I want to spend my time doing. And I guess the best way to call it, that maybe if I'd use one label to this, it's purpose-driven strategic communications.
I love it. Yeah, no, that makes complete sense to me, because how many companies do we know, lots, that have foundations, or they have giving campaigns, or they have things where their employees are allowed time off to go do what they want to do. And none of that gets really communicated as to the impact that it's having on things that matter to a local community, maybe a statewide or even a global community. So you're talking about giving more visibility and more energy to their mission, as far as how they're galvanizing people to do what they're meant to do for humanity. I love that. That's so cool.
I talk about, I think, an upward spiral of doing good and doing well. So many of these organizations are really doing good when it comes to giving back and making a difference in society. But because they lack the visibility and the connection, they don't reap the full benefits of all that doing good that they've been doing. So when the communication comes in, a really excellent communication comes in, then after you're doing good, the outcome is going to be doing well economically as a business. You're going to see more connections. You're going to see more business flowing your way. Also because of the affinity, the fondness that other customers and partners have toward you, because they see your care for the world. They see your care for the community and that kind of generous posture that you have. So it's really about giving visibility to many things that already exist. And once others see that, right, then it's contagious. Then other organizations say, oh, we need to do the same or something similar.
Totally. Oh my gosh, I so get it. And this goes way beyond just public relations. I hear that a lot. Well, we just need a PR firm. Well, maybe, and I'm not saying PR firms aren't doing this. Some of them are, but what it is it's pulling the whole picture together. It's strategic win-win-win. Community wins, business wins, customer wins, everybody wins. It's triple bottom line winning, So I love that idea, and that your passion just comes right out of you. Do you know of any generous companies right now that you would say are doing a good job of this? Like you've seen them taking on something and sharing what they're doing about it? Have you seen anybody out there that's doing it?
You know what? You hear mixed feelings about certain companies, right? And perspectives. And no company is perfect by any stretch. But let me just say something about Amazon, because what I'm noticing, at least in more recent months, is such a commitment to issues related to climate change.
Yes.
It goes beyond, I think, the commercials. It really is something that is felt deeply by many of those who have joined the team with Amazon. So I would just point to them and say, look, you are wrestling with issues, and those issues are perhaps real. And it's something that they are working on. But at the same time, there's this visible commitment that's rooted in reality. It's not just lip service. That really can help to change the whole picture, and maybe even then be part of the solution to some of the problems that the company itself may be facing as far as PR issues.
I love that. And as a former Seattle girl turned Floridian who lived in the land of Amazon before it was anything and knows quite a bit about the business itself, recently they have purchased what was formerly known as Key Arena and renamed it Climate Pledge Arena for a local hockey team that's coming in. And I think that goes to your notion of they're really tackling something about climate and climate change and wanting to put it into the forefront of someone's mind. And they're doing it through business tactics, not just good PR and a nice article. They're actually putting their investment into tangible things that can make awareness higher, encourage people's participation, et cetera. And I know you and I have talked a lot about the SDG 17. Maybe for our listeners, talk a little bit about what the SDG 17 is and why right now is such a good time for businesses to kind of go, hey, I'd like to focus on one of those for my business also. So talk about that a little bit. Mm-hmm.
So the SDGs, one of my favorite topics, Sustainable Development Goals. And they were set up 5 years ago now, 2015.
Oh, wow.
And it was kind of a joint effort. The United Nations and academics, governments, and so on came together and decided to set 17 goals related to sustainable development. So it's everything from ending extreme poverty to fighting inequality, the issue of climate change, many other goals, 17 of them overarching goals, and then 38 targets to really eliminate the fundamental causes of human suffering by the year 2030.
Whoops.
So
that's 10 years from now, people.
Right, we're 5 years in, right?
Woo, okay.
And we have 10 to go. So 2020 now, 2030, 10 years to really, they're very tangible targets, right? So there's 38 targets. But we have some work to do and really some catch-up work to do because we're behind on 37 of the 38 targets. Now, we're not far behind in many of those. It's not beyond hope. But again, this is why, I want to devote my time to activating businesses to really focus on those goals and say, look, recognizing fully that many governments have made commitments to achieve certain targets of the SDGs. Yeah. Many other businesses have, NGOs, non-government organizations have raised their hand and said, I'm going to do something about this particular SDG. Yeah. I'm going to help achieve this target. And what's happening as a result of that is that connections are being made.
Yeah.
To really achieve that, to create that synergy, to achieve big things when it comes to global issues that come right back down to the community. It also is good for business, right? Yeah. And this is what, in fact, I wrote something down. I just read this. All of us know Ernst & Young. They're a global, highly respected consulting agency, global. They said that the SDGs provide a historic moment for companies to take society's challenges and leverage them as opportunities to enhance business growth and long-term competitiveness.
Absolutely.
So it behoves us, right, to look at those goals if we are leading a company and say, look, if I'm not joined to a cause, it could hurt my business. It could really be a risk not to be involved.
I love that, Brian. And it's so clear to me as a co-founder of Earth.University also that our mission is to help others out there get off the couch and aiming at an applied purpose.
Yeah.
They have a purpose and a thing that they do really well, but what if it could be in alignment with some of these SDGs, and then gather up some employees in a company, and all of a sudden magic starts to happen. So what I'm here to do is to help wake people up to that applied purpose as an individual, and then team them up like what you're saying in a business context, so they can find each other and actually make a difference. And it doesn't mean that the business itself is working on that product or service. So for example, one of the SDGs that is really powerful for me, and it gets me up in the morning, I'm sure of it, is clean water. I think that having clean water available to every human being and every animal on this planet should be a goal for all of us, And so when I think about those things, it's really important that I know how what I'm also doing with my purpose and my passion is waking other people up to that goal for humanity that we're all here to serve. And I know, and I love what you're doing. You're helping businesses get the powerful profitability of focusing on something that's meaningful. Love it.
Great. Looking at that one in particular, Lindsay, around clean water, right?
Yeah, right.
So let's take an example. If we were to say, choose an industry like making soda, right? Making
Coca-Cola. We love Coca-Cola.
So we need clean water, right? We want our Coke to be made with clean water.
Yeah.
The organization may say, wow, we're really worried about the water supply in places where we are, manufacturing, where we have factories. Obviously that's one of the SDGs. So you can strategically make decisions around what goals you connect yourself to, where you see multiple benefits in tackling it visibly. You're making a contribution to a bigger problem, which is protecting the world's watersheds. But you're also making a contribution to something that really is mitigating some of your risk around not having access to pure water.
There you go.
What you're trying to make.
I love that example. That's beautiful. You are marvelous. You have the most incredible strategic mind, and any business out there would be nuts not to work with you. I'm so grateful to be part of your life and your experience and your transition to Greater Life Communications. This is super cool. Tell us more. Tell the audience how they can get in touch with you. I'm sure that someone is going to want to reach out and find out how they can align to a bigger picture.
Well, sure. Thank you. And, I'll just say one more thing about how this can happen. So, it's so important when you deal with strategic communications that you have alignment in a few very key areas. And this is why, say a typical PR agency where they're focusing on the messaging or an external front, the brand externally. It doesn't always do, it's a one-dimensional solution. So what you need to tackle some of these issues around getting the most of what you're doing for the world is you have to be aligned with staff first. So I think in a company that wants to be visible, recognize that your staff really are your greatest ambassadors. They can also be a real headache if they're not your ambassadors.
Just check glass door.
So we start there, right? You have to start internal. So we pay a lot of attention to what's happening internally. We have, HR subject matter experts on our team. We have people who are brilliant in human psychology. We have people such as yourself who how to develop leaders, how to mentor, how to bring out the best in human beings and to feel comfortable with their superpowers. And so what we're doing is we've created a team of subject matter experts that can take the whole thing and really bring a holistic solution which is the only way you can really effectively do strategic communications, where you're developing those leaders and their messaging and the way they communicate, and what you do then to align that with the staff, so the staff are passionate about it. And then, an external message that then comes that is fully aligned, that the staff fully believe in, and they can say at any time. It's very easy for them to say because it's made simple for them.
Right.
So that's kind of what we're all about. I mean, I'd love to talk to anybody who would like to learn more, talk more about this, and dream together about the possibilities. And I guess the best place to start is just check out the website. So it's greaterlife.com.
I love that. Greaterlife.com. That's amazing. I think we are working toward a greater life. And I love that that's what we're about, is thriving. And I'm so grateful for you, Brian, for just doing what you are and putting it out there into the world. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Yeah.
I am energized. Thanks.
I know, me too. So let's get on with our purpose, everyone. And if for some reason you've lost your way, can't remember what it is, or just need a little tune-up, come check us out at Earth.University as well. We're here to serve. So bye, everybody.
Bye.